Welcome to another episode of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. I am your host, Michael. Usually my co-host, Ken, is with me on a regular basis, but tonight he's not with us. Maybe he'll join us and stop by later. But even though he's not here, the show's still going to be going. We're still going to rock. We're still going to talk boxing. Joining me tonight, a couple of special guests. First of all, friend and fan of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, all the way from Asia. I forgot exactly where you from again. Where you located right now, Sean?
I'm living in Taiwan.
Right, from Taiwan, Sean Newton, and joining us a special guest. I've known this younger lady for a while, a couple of years now. D, aka the one and only Doo Brown, of the Doo Brown Show on YouTube. How you guys doing? And welcome to the show, D.
Thank you, man. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. For those who are new to the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, the Pound for Pound Boxing Report is a show / blog / podcast that talks all things boxing. The motto is, when boxing is good, we will talk about it. When boxing is bad, we will talk about it. The bottom line is, if it concerns boxing, we will talk about it. If you want to find more information about the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, there are two main places you can go. You can go to the official blog page for the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. The link for that is P4P Boxing Report.wordpress.com. And repeat that, P4P Boxing Report.wordpress.com, where you can find past episodes of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report podcast. You can also find blogs and articles written by yours truly. You can also go to the podcast page. And the link for that is P4PBoxingReport.podomag.com. And repeat that, P4PBoxingReport.podomag.com. And on the podcast page, of course, you can find all previous episodes of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report podcast. On the blog page as well as the podcast page, you can find information on where to find us all over social media, all over the internet. So on Facebook, on Twitter, on Tumblr, on YouTube, Google+, Pinterest. We got a Pinterest board, the RSS feed, and a link to the Twitter handle. Of course, the Twitter handle is at P4P Boxing Report, and a link to donate your account. The address for that is donateyouraccount.com/P4P Boxing Report. And repeat that, donateyouraccount.com/P4P Boxing Report. Be a friend, be a pal, be a buddy, and donate your Twitter account. And what happens is, when you donate your Twitter account, any tweet that comes to the Pound for Pound Boxing Report Twitter page, your Twitter account will automatically have the ability to retweet any tweet that comes from the Pound for Pound Boxing Report Twitter page. With those homework matters out the way, let's get the show started by doing a recap of what happened this past weekend in boxing. Big weekend, people. Is a lot of boxing. They feature fights all over the world, all big time bouts from all over the world. Excuse me. Headlined by the rematch between Froch and George Groves that took place in London in front of 80,000 folks at Wembley Stadium. Froch getting a very satisfying win as he scored a clean-cut 8-round KO over George Groves to retain his WBA, IBF Super Middleweight titles. This was a fight of a pretty controversial bout to many that took place last November, which Froch scored a 9th-round stoppage. In this bout, in the first fight, I should say, let me do a recap of the first fight. Groves controlled the bout from round 1, knocked Froch down, took the pace, set the pace, I should say, with the jab. He was faster. He was the better fighter that night until Froch caught him. The referee jumped in too early for many folks, and controversy ensued from there. A rematch was set, and in this time, the bout was different. I'll go to you, D, on this. You can give your analysis of the fight. Froch, for me, he got off slow again, but for me, George Groves, he didn't do in this rematch what he did in the first fight. He didn't establish the jab. I saw a lack of body work from him, and he started to get tired once Froch started to go to George Groves' body in round 5 and 6. Started to wear Groves down a little bit, and the right hand in round 8 that knocked George Groves down and out was really sensational. Your analysis of the fight, D?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, what I noticed was I watched the first fight, and the first fight, man, Groves just came at Froch. You know, seemed like he had no care in the world. He brought the fight to him. He actually dropped the guy. but he ran out of gas, right, and got beat. This fight, he came out, he showed Froch a lot of respect. He was talking all that smack through the build-up, but he was showing him so much respect. That's when Froch was just started, he just started coming, brought it, he was ready to bring it to him too. He just kept fading him out of position. A fighter's already edgy. And he just kept fading him, and he caught him. He caught him with that big old right, man, knocked him cold out. Man, I enjoyed it. I did not, truly, I did not expect that. I was going for Groves because he's a younger guy and because he did drop him in the first fight. And that just tells me a lot about Froch, man. He still got it, man. He got a lot of heart, and he just took it to the young cat. He faded him out of position and cracked him. Wow!
Let me ask you a follow-up question. Do you think that Groves got caught up a little bit in the pre-fight hype beforehand, and do you think that affected his performance in the ring?
Yeah, it had to. He's a whole different fighter. He didn't fight the same way he fought in the first fight, right? Am I right or wrong?
No, you're right.
He looked like a totally different fighter. He just kept going around in circles, like waiting for Froch to do something. And Froch was like, damn, what, what? He ain't ready to fight them. You got to gain your, get your respect. First, as soon as you get in the ring, that's the whole thing. Get the respect. Get the respect from the other fighter. And he didn't show nothing. Groves really didn't show anything. He acted like he was intimidated, really. I think he psyched himself out.
Your thoughts on the fight, Sean? Was you really surprised at the way that things went down Saturday night in London?
I'm not surprised that Froch made adjustments. I mean, in fights that he's like against Kessler and other people, when he's had more than one fight, he's shown that he's able to adjust and make adjustments. And he made them. I mean, he was feinting, like she was saying, and able to sort of throw him off a little bit, sort of make him a little more hesitant, and just wait for his shots. And he was hiding them pretty well. And I thought he was pretty much dictating the fight, pretty much the whole fight. I do think I had it 4-2 Froch after 6. I mean, there were a lot of close rounds and nothing big was landing, but I just thought he was the one setting the pace, the sort of one that was dictating the fight. I thought Groves was a little hesitant. I mean, he didn't really seem like he made any adjustments. The only adjustment that happened was in his head. I think he was still sort of thinking about getting caught last fight and a little hesitant and didn't want to get caught by Froch's power this time. Instead of last time, he was a lot more aggressive, and he relied on his power to like catch Froch and get him off guard and sort of take advantage of him and use his speed and youth and movement. This time, yeah, I mean, I don't know if all the build-up and stuff got in his head, because he was talking a big game about being aggressive and going out there and knocking Froch out, and he wasn't really aggressive and didn't go for it at all. And I mean, historically, Froch does well later in the fights. It's not like he wears down. So Groves' best part would have been to get on him early, where he's a little slow to start before he like warms up and loosens up and sort of starts getting things going.
I want to ask you a follow-up question. With this win, given the crowd, given the atmosphere, really the world, the super middleweight world is Froch's oyster right now. I know that Andre Ward is the best fighter, but as far as I'm concerned, Froch is the most marketable fighter. He's the biggest name. I mean, no offense, we all love Ward, but he can't draw that kind of crowd anywhere. Moving forward for Froch, in the aftermath, he's in an interview the morning after the fight, he talked about possibly fighting in Las Vegas, possibly against Chavez Jr. There's also talk about a potential fight with Ward, rematch. Also talk about a fight with Gennady Golovkin at some point. Coming off of this big win, in the biggest, highest profile fight of his career, Sean, and you can follow up, D. Where do you think Froch will go next in terms of his future?
Yeah, I think he should go fight Chavez in Vegas. You know, fulfill like a dream that he has to have a big Vegas fight. Chavez is the type of opponent that, you know, I think he will beat him because he's able to adjust. He has power. He's got a tough chin. I don't know what Chavez brings to that fight that's going to be able to beat Froch over 12 rounds. So I think it's a good money fight for him. It's good exposure. He's ending the getting near the end of his career. After that fight, I think he can go back to the UK, maybe fight just there. I don't think he needs to leave the UK. And if Ward wants a rematch, I think he needs to jump on an airplane and head to the UK for what would be his biggest fight ever. I mean, financially it would be better. I mean, exposure-wise it would be better. I mean, for Ward, I mean, he's confident enough, so he just has to get, you know, he's just so comfortable. He's always fought at home. But if he wants to be a big name, he needs to do something. And going and beating Froch in the UK would be what he needs to do.
Your thoughts on the future for Froch, D?
Yeah, I agree with Sean when he's talking about he should fight Chavez Jr. I think that would be a great fight. I would like to see that fight with him and Chavez Jr. Actually, yeah. And honestly, I think he would actually beat Chavez Jr. Jr. don't really bring a whole lot to the table. He doesn't have a big power punch, you know, or he can put Froch down. I think Froch would actually probably get him out there. I don't know. He likes to take punches, though. Junior likes to take a lot of punches, but I would like to see him fight Junior, beat Junior, and then fight Triple G. That would be the damn fight, man. But before he even gets to Chavez Jr., I think he should get rid of James DeGale, shut him up. How you say his name, James DeGale, whatever his name is? I think he should fight him, shut that dude up, then fight Chavez Jr., beat him, and then fight Triple G. Then that man's legacy is still for life. Shit, man.
I think
that's what he should do. Get rid of DeGale, fight your Junior, and fight Triple G. I don't know. That's a toss-up. I mean, I like Triple G, but we'll see, you know. But Andre Ward, man, I honestly, I think Andre would beat him again. Even when he fought him in the tournament, he beat him convincingly. I think he'll do that again. So I think that's just a waste of money. But hell, if they paid money to watch a big $80,000 Wembley Stadium, hell, I'll watch it again. But I believe the same thing will happen again.
Oh, we're going to talk about DeGale coming up. I'll say this. I personally think that fight will not happen. Froch doesn't need him at this point. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Froch gave up the IBF belt and go before Chavez Jr. I think there would be, look, I think, I'll say it right now, I think there would be a knockdown, drag out, but Froch will beat him. I think he should go for, I agree with you, I think he should go for Chavez Jr. and then Gennady Golovkin. That's the fight I would like to see at 168 with Golovkin moving up. And I'll say it right now, I know Golovkin will be the favorite going in, but I would not be surprised if Froch would beat him because, one, Froch can take a heck of a punch. Two, Froch can punch himself. And three, we haven't seen, as impressed as I am with Triple G, I think he's the best middleweight in the world. And look, I think he could beat Froch. I think he would beat Froch. But I think that physically with his height, Froch's height and reach, he will present some problems with Triple G. How it would be difficult. Golovkin would have his moments, difficult moments, dealing with the jab because we've never seen Golovkin deal with a guy with reach and has a decent jab. So it would be interesting how Triple G would deal with that if they were to fight. I want to move on since you mentioned DeGale. He fought on the undercard of Froch and Groves. Scored a 4-round TKO over Brandon Gonzalez, who was an IBF eliminator. DeGale switched promotional companies. I think he's with Barry Hearn's Matchroom Sport now, I believe. To me, I saw the fight. I think DeGale looked very impressive. Look, Gonzalez, was he on his level? No. But for me, judging by this fight, and I'll go to you on this one, D, I think DeGale, judging by what I've seen in his last few fights since his loss to Groves a couple of years back, I think he's ready for a title shot. I think he can fight with any of the top super middleweights in the world.
I totally agree. I mean, you can't always judge a guy by his last fight. I mean, they're humans. They mature. They grow. They learn. You know, this is boxing. You learn from your mistakes. So I totally agree. Like I said, I would love to see him fight Froch. You know, I really do. I want to see them two big UK guy, young guy. I would love to see that, man. And then, I mean, I'm not a big Froch fan, but he's a really good competitor. He got a lot of heart. He comes to fight, man. He don't pussyfoot around or nothing. You know what I mean? He truly showed it with Groves. I think Groves really got up under the skin, leading up to the fight, and it showed. It was personal. So yeah, man, I like DeGale too, but I think Froch would get him though. I think Froch would beat him.
Your thoughts on the progress of James DeGale? Look, he lost to, as I mentioned, he lost to Groves a couple of years back. A couple of years back in a bit of an upset, what was considered an upset to many. Uh, judge the progression of James DeGale since then, Sean. And am I off base in thinking that he's ready to fight with any of the top dogs at super middleweight?
I mean, even the Groves fight, it was a very close fight. It wasn't like Groves beat him easily. I mean, some people still thought he won that fight. The problem since then, I mean, I don't think he's really moved his level up where possibly he should. The guy he beat, who was a contender, I've never heard of. I know he trains with Ward, but, you know, I think what he needs to do before he really gets a championship fight, even though now he's in line for one, is fight like a legitimate guy. Maybe he could fight Sakabiku for his belt.
He could, but the question is, when is Bika going to fight? It's been so long since he's fought, so I think he may have some managerial, promotional issues on his own.
Well, it wasn't that long ago he fought. He fought Darrell, right? And then just before that, didn't he fight the Mayweather guy?
Who,
yeah,
Bay? Trying to think who, TMT, what one of the TMT fighters?
One of them, yeah. And
I think it was Mick.
I thought he lost the Darrell fight, but I mean, you know, he got the decision. And he's vulnerable. I mean, he's limited. So with a guy like DeGale, he's a tough guy. So he won't be easy for DeGale, but I mean, skill-wise, I think DeGale should be able to beat him. And once he gets the belt, it becomes more marketable. At this point, I don't, you know, outside the UK, I don't know who wants to watch him fight Froch.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you got to. Yeah, because he's so awkward, he would give anybody a tough fight. But I can see your argument in terms of that. Froch would be a big fight, but like I said, I just don't think that Froch will fight him. At least not next. I think Froch is looking towards bigger fish and bigger money in that division. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if Froch vacates the IBF belt and DeGale fights someone for that vacant world title. Let's move on to a card that happened on this same Saturday, May 31st in Macau, China. The headline of that card was Nonito Donaire moving up from 122 to 126. Scored I guess technically it's considered a 5-round technical win over Simpiwe Vetyeka. Vetyeka, for those who don't know, is the guy who ended Chris John's long reign as featherweight champion, knocked him out last year, made his first title defense against Donaire. And I'll go to you on this one, Sean, and you can follow up D. But even though Donaire won, there was a lot of questions left in my mind about Donaire and how he looked. I know this bout was kind of hindered. His performance was hindered by the fact that he suffered a cut in round 1. The cut, suffered another cut, I believe, later on in the fight. His performance was sort of hampered by that because of impaired vision. But be that as it may, again, to me, Donaire has regressed as a fighter, and it really showed itself in this fight with Vetyeka, who, if the fight wasn't stopped, I think he would have hung in there with Donaire all night long. He was given as good as he got. Your thoughts on the Donaire's win, unsatisfying win over Vetyeka, and even I should say even Donaire was unsatisfied with his victory, considering his comments after the fight.
I'm a big Donaire fan, but since Rigo, his last 2 fights, he's looked vulnerable. He hasn't looked like mentally he's really in it. I mean, he's there because obviously it's the easiest money for him to make. He's still a big name, and there's still fights for him to have. But as far as heart and desire, I mean, against Darchinyan, he looked like he wanted to quit. And even after the fight, he didn't look like, you know, he was happy where he was. And then with Vetyeka, who's an awkward guy, I mean, he looked like he was looking for an easy way out. You know, I mean, obviously he got headbutted and he got cut, but that's part of boxing. I mean, you've been fighting for 10 years, longer than that. It's not like you've never been headbutted before. You should be able to deal with adversity and make your way through it and show some heart and have a strategy and be able to adjust. His power affected him. I mean, I would have liked to see him go out there and maybe be a little more aggressive and try to finish Vetyeka out, especially since he pretty much seemed like he knew the fight was going to get stopped on the cut. And then maybe he could have like salvaged the fight. But the way it ends now, I don't think he's going to rematch him because what's the point? I mean, it's not like it's a big fight, and it's not really something people want to see anyways. And it's not going to be an easy fight for him. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if his next fight was against Gradovich, who sort of looked a little vulnerable on the weekend's card.
I'll go to you on this, D. I would argue that Donaire has looked suspect even before the loss to Ricky Diao April last year. His fight with Vasquez Jr., the fight against Matebula. To me, Donaire has reduced to a guy who strictly pot shots and relies on his power. Talk about this fight and talk about what, to me, perceives to be the regression of Nonito Donaire. Is it a confidence issue? Is it the rise up in weight? Is it age? A combination of all three? Your thoughts on the Vetyeka fight and Nonito Donaire?
Yeah, I think it's, he's had a kid. He's a father now. I think a lot of things is coming into play. He just doesn't look like he has that pop anymore. He doesn't look like he has that desire anymore. I think when guys get like that towards the end of their career, they just need to give it up, man, because they end up getting hurt. And I mean, I like him. I've watched him for years. And he just, I didn't know that cat, what's his name, Vignette. I didn't know he was the one that beat. I didn't know who the guy was. I mean, he looked good to me. I was like, wow. I couldn't believe it. You know, I was like, yeah. Like he said, like Sean said, he was trying to find a way out of the fight. I really do. You know, he was looking the way out, and he got it, man. And he did have a big old cut and all that, but it wasn't the same cat, man. It wasn't the same fighter I've seen for over all these years. And like I said, when they get at that point, I think it's time for him to pack it in and move on, man. He's the father, do the father thing, you know.
You mentioned the fight with Gradovich, who also scored a 12-round win on this Macau card against a guy by the name of Skirtian. I didn't really see the fight in full. I hadn't seen all the fights, so I don't want to comment on it without having seen all the fight. But if he doesn't fight Gradovich, he might fight Nicholas Walters, who's also fought on this Macau card, who fought Vic Darchinyan. Darchinyan, of course, gave Donaire a tough fight a few months back. Darchinyan, former flyweight, super flyweight champion, always a tough guy, always comes to give a good fight. Always pretty much a badass whenever he fights, not just in terms of how he fights, but how he talks. And yet in this fight, Walters destroyed him.
Yeah.
He had his way with him. He bounced him all over the ring Saturday night, scoring a fifth round KO, clean stoppage as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if you saw the fight, D, but if you did, your comments on it, because I was highly impressed with the way Nicholas Walters basically ran Darchinyan over, and I think forced him into a retirement.
Right. Well, actually, I didn't watch it. I'm not going to sit here and lie. But on paper, when I saw it on paper, quite naturally, I was going for Vic, you know. And then everybody was like, he got knocked out, I'm like, what? Are you serious? I'm like, is his career over? It's weird how it happens, man. I don't know what's going on with the guy. Like I said, I didn't see it. Last fight I saw Vic play fight was oh boy, we were just talking about it.
Donaire.
Yeah, that's the last time I seen him fight. But I didn't think he was progressing that bad to get knocked out. You say he got knocked out in the 5th round?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been hearing, but I still haven't seen it. I've been looking for it on YouTube. I still haven't found the dang old fight. But no, I didn't get it, man. I didn't see that fight. I wish I had seen it.
Reach out to me later on. I can show you where you can see it. I don't want to say so publicly because I don't want to get in trouble. Put it that way. But yeah, I can show you where you can see the fight.
Okay. Yeah, man. I was shocked when I heard that, man. I couldn't believe it. I was wondering when I looked it up on upcoming fights, they had him as the second fighter. He wasn't the first name. Usually, you know, you could tell when they're the favorite fighters and stuff like that. They had him on the low end, man. So I'm wondering if something going on with him in his personal life or like what's up.
I'll answer that, and I'll go to you on this one, Sean. I think it's a combination of both. When we talked about the fight last week, I suspected that Darchinyan was. It wasn't just a case of Darchinyan's age. He's 37, 38 years old. But it's also the fact that he's small. And as we saw in this fight, Sean, I'll go to you on this one. Walter's Jamaican-born world champion. This cat is a strong, strong dude with power. And to me, his defense was surprising. When Darchinyan did throw shots, good, solid, sound defense from Nicholas Walters. Your thoughts on his performance, and where would you rate him in the pantheon of featherweights in the world? And I want to say welcome my regular co-host for the show, Kent, who's joining us right now. Your thoughts on Walters' impressive win over Darchinyan?
I think that, Walters did what he needed to do. He had like an 8-inch reach advantage on Darchinyan. He used it to keep on the outside. He showed good power. He used a high guard, so his defense was good. He did get hit. I mean, Darchinyan was pushing it, even though it was hard for him to get on the inside of such a long, gangly sort of fighter, and who was able to punish him on his coming in. Darchinyan, I think, is just way too small for that weight. Even when he hit him with punches, it didn't really seem to affect Walters in the least. And Walters, I think he is definitely in the top 3 of that weight division. And I think if I was Donaire, I would totally fight Gradovich before I stepped into the ring with him at this point, until he builds his confidence up and maybe feels a little more comfortable at that weight.
I'll get you into the discussion. Kent, we're talking about Nicholas Walters' 5th-round stoppage over Vic Darchinyan in Macau on the undercard of Donaire and Vetyeka. Your assessment of the fight, and did you, even though we talked about the fight last week, did you see this happening? Because I thought Walters would win. I thought he was just too big and too strong for Darchinyan, but I didn't expect him to just basically bounce Darchinyan around the ring the way he did. Very impressive by Walters.
Yeah, I think I'm going to tell you right now, there was 4 featherweights that we saw on Saturday night, and I will say those 4 are probably in the top 10 in the world. That's Gradovich, Donaire, Walters, and Vetyeka. And I'm going to say right now that I'm not trying to shit on Donaire. I mean, he had a good performance on Saturday, but I'll say this.
I disagree with that, but hey, keep going.
I mean, a good performance in the sense he did what he had to do to win. But I'm going to say this right now. In a rematch, I think Vetyeka beats him. I think Gradovich beats him, and I think Walters beats him at this point. I'm going to tell you why I think that. Walters looked so good on Saturday. I mean, he took apart a guy that's really, I mean, he's small for the weight class, but I don't think anybody has taken apart Donaire the way Walters took Donaire apart. I mean, Walters took Darchinyan apart.
No one.
Even
in the loss in 07 to Donaire.
No,
Donaire he was winning the fight, but he wasn't dominating Darchinyan the way that Walters did.
No, absolutely not. And I think personally that Donaire, I'll tell you what I saw on. I don't mean to slow down the conversation, but I'm going to tell you. I think Donaire. There's one thing that I noticed with Donaire. He's a step slower now. He's not the guy he used to be a couple years ago. He's not the guy that's because even though he could punch, he set up a lot of things with his speed, and that speed's not there anymore. It's a tad slower, and I think I think in a rematch, I personally think Vetyeka beats him. I think even though Donaire had a good start, had a decent couple of rounds against Vetyeka, I kind of sensed that even without the cut, that Vetyeka was going to come on late. You could just tell he was going to come on late. He was in better condition. He looked sharper. I mean, he handled the first 2 rounds against Donaire. Donaire came on a little bit, got the knockdown. But the thing with Donaire is nowadays is I think that speed that he used to set up guys now is no longer there, and I think he's going to have a hard time finishing off guys. I think he still has the power, but I think he also used his speed to set up a lot of those knockouts, and I don't think it's there anymore. So we're going to see a lot of fights where he may score knockdowns, but he's not necessarily going to be able to finish off the guy. And I'll tell you, the way Walters took apart Darchinyan, if I'm Donaire, I'd stay far away from that man. That is not a good styles fight for him. I think even Vetyeka is not a good styles fight for him, because even in the first couple of rounds, we saw that Vetyeka was going to give him a handful. Vetyeka is a good boxer, and I think that he has the ability to in a rematch. I think he has the ability to beat Donaire. I think Walters can beat Donaire, and I think Radovich can beat Donaire. I think Donaire is probably, we've seen the best of Donaire these last couple of years. I'm not saying he's shot. He's past his prime now. It's clear he's past his prime. The speed's not where it used to be, and I think that the way Walters look, he's gonna be a problem for anyone, and I think those four guys are probably in the top 10 in the world, bar none at featherweight.
Any follow-up, guys? Because folks will watch this now, watch this later, or listen to the podcast when it come up. You got a lot of Donaire stands out there. A lot of his fanboys will jump on here and say, "You guys don't know what to talk about. Why are you throwing so much shade on Donaire?" Any follow-up to what Kent said, D or Sean?
I totally agree with Kent. How you doing, Kent?
Hey, how you doing, D?
All right, I totally agree with him, man. I like to listen to his assessments of the fight, because he really gets into it, man. He's deep with it. But yeah, man, I think Donaire just didn't look. He look different. It's something about him. I don't know what it is. Like I said, I don't know if it's because he became a new father. He might have lost that edge, that fire inside of him. I don't know.
Any comments, Sean?
Yeah, like I said, I'm a Donaire fan. I would like to see nothing more than him to clear out that division and solidify himself. But yeah, I mean, I agree. The speed was a big thing that he had as far as size and power in the lower weights. And now he doesn't have size. His power is still good, but he relies on it too much. He never uses the jab. He just basically waits to counter punch and hope to land a big punch. And against quality fighters at these weights, I think that's just not going to be enough for him to really do what he did before. So he needs to pick his fights a little better. That's why I said a Radovich fight, he showed that he's easy to hit. I don't think his power is that much. Mostly he relies on volume. And I think out of the three guys, that's probably his best bet to defend his belt and to look better.
Yeah, I agree to an extent with the Radovich thing, but I also think that even though Radovich is there to be hit, he's a very strong guy.
And the issue is that Donaire would have a Radovich. We mentioned how Donaire doesn't like to work anymore. And the thing about Radovich, his style will force Donaire to work. I fear that he would kind of run Donaire out the ring, because Donaire doesn't throw combinations anymore. He doesn't throw to the body anymore. He doesn't throw a good jab. I think Radovich, he would be trouble for Donaire too.
Yeah, I think the work rate with Radovich will be a problem from Donaire, because Donaire, even though he can, he has the good power, and he can, and if against the right guy, he can hurt somebody and stop him. He's not busy enough. I think the one thing I noticed with Donaire in those last couple fights, it's like the reflexes are a little bit slower. He's not. It's not that he's training any differently. It's not that he's not doing anything different. I just think he's just a step slower now. He's not the guy he was about 5 years ago, and I think that's a key with him. I think he looked in great shape. I think he looked, right as far as physically he looked right. I just think once he just can't get out of the way of shots anymore. He can't pull the trigger like he wants to anymore, and I think a lot of those three guys would beat him. I think Vetyeka in a rematch would beat him. Based on what I saw on Vetyeka, who looked good, that's what you can expect from Vetyeka. he may look a little soft, Donaire, to an extent, but
He does. He does look a little soft. He is a little soft at 126. I
yeah,
felt it. I saw a flab there around the waistline.
yeah, I think that he's not, when he moves up in weight, he's not going to look as good because I think he's still, you know, he just you got a point there. He does look a little soft, but I think as far as that goes, I think he does what he has to do to train. I just think he doesn't carry the weight as well. That may be a lot of guys, you know, a lot of guys sometimes move up in weight and they, you know, and they don't carry the weight well. And I think, I'll tell you this, I don't think Robert Garcia is the trainer everybody says he is. I think he's a good trainer. He's a good trainer, but he's good with certain fighters. He's good with offensive guys. He's not good with see, Donaire is naturally a boxer. If you watched any of his early fights, you could see he was naturally a boxer. And that's not Robert Garcia. Robert Garcia does not work with boxers very well. The only guy, I'll tell you this, the reason why he's even training, listen, the only guy he's got that's a boxer is Mikey Garcia, but Mikey learned a lot of his boxing from Robert Garcia's dad. That's where he learned a lot of the boxing from. It wasn't, Robert Garcia doesn't know how to teach boxing. He'll be the first one to tell you, I don't understand anything about, you know, slick boxing. I know about offense and pushing guys forward. That's why he's so good with guys like Gradovich. Because that's what he knows. He knows offense, and I think that's, and even I think at this point, Donaire needs somebody that's a little bit more that can. I'll tell you, a guy that would, and I kind of agree with Sean with his comment in the chat here, is that Roach would be good for Donaire because he got Pacquiao. Even though Pacquiao slowed down a bit, they found a way to fight. And I think that's what he needs, somebody that understands when a guy slows down just a little bit, you need to come up with new things. And I think that's what Donaire needs. I think if he stays with Garcia, I think it's not going to be good because once you start slowing down and the way he fights, he's not going to be able to maintain anything. He's not going to be, he's slower. He's not throwing combinations anymore, and I think he needs to find a way with the little bit of the speed decline to get back to some boxing. Don't listen. We're critical of Donaire, but Donaire's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. He may not be, you know, like pound for pound the way he was being propped up a few years ago by the media, but he's a good fighter. And I think that he needs to get back to some of his strengths. I think the style he's in now with Robert Garcia is not the style that's going to keep his career going.
Yeah, and since we're talking a lot about Donaire, let's say a word about Walters here. Let's hope that this fight leads to maybe a after dark appearance or appearance on a main HBO show, undercard of a main HBO a show, because again, for those who have not seen the fight, I looked it up and it is on YouTube.
I'm looking
shared the link with you. And again, Walters, he's an up and coming guy. I like what I see. I like what I see from him a lot. I think he's really there. We talked about Gradovich possibly be the best featherweight in the world. Coming off of this performance, you have to throw Walters in there as well. I'm not gonna say he's better than Gradovich, but I tell you this: should they fight, it'd be a hell of a battle.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now that Gradovich looked a bit vulnerable on Saturday, but that's a good thing, and I'll tell you why it's a good thing. It'll get people to fight him now. People will be willing to fight him now because they've seen that he got knocked down, and he's seen that he got hit more in this fight. And I'm going to give McCurcheon a lot of credit. He was a game guy. He's a tough guy. He's not a world-class guy, but he's a tough guy, and he'll give, you know, guys, you know, when he's coming in as the opponent, he'll give them a tough fight. He's not going to lay down. He came to win. He just didn't have the power to hurt Gradovich, but he did have his moments in the fight. And I really think that now that Gradovich has been shown to be a little bit vulnerable, you're going to get some fights out of him now. Now you're going to see some guys willing to step up and fight him. Yeah, knocked down by a jab. You know what? Hey, if it gets a good opponent in the ring, that's the good thing about showing that vulnerability to me, because the way he was just running through guys, no one was going to fight him. Now, seeing that he got knocked down by a jab, even though it was a balanced shot, it wasn't a solid punch, a lot of guys will probably sit there and say,
He
well, if
looks
you've
vulnerable.
been able to be knocked down by a jab,
Right, they're like, I want some of that.
I may want some of that. I have a shot in this fight now. So I think it's not a bad thing what happened to Gradovich. Now we may see some good opponents step up and fight him now. So I mean, that card was good. That was a very, very good card. Even the undercard fights were good, but we can't talk about all those fights because but it was a good card.
And we get ready to move on to the news segment, but before we do that, a couple of comments in the chat room, or at least on the Facebook, on the YouTube, in live right now in the chat from Taiwan. Snow, shout out to him for listening to the show. Thank you very much. He was saying that Donaire, he's commented Donaire was never anything other than an average fighter with pop, and that lucky for him that Vetyeka didn't settle into the fight, or he would have given Donaire a beating. I disagree with that, but I say this: Vetyeka, he would have given Donaire a real battle here, and I'm with Ken here. I wouldn't be surprised if the fight had went on, that Vetyeka would have got the victory. Let's move on to the boxing news segment of the show. Talk about the news of what happened. Of course, the big news over the past couple of days: big shakeup at Golden Boy. As both Richard Shaefer and Floyd Mayweather Jr. has bolted, left Golden Boy Promotions. We kind of saw this, kid. You and I, we kind of knew this was going to develop. It was going to happen. Really, even before Mayweather's fight with Maidana. I'll get to you on that one first. I'll get to you on that later on. But I want to go to you, D. Your thoughts on the shakeup over at Golden Boy with the departure of both Richard Shaefer as well as Mayweather Jr. Money Mayweather from Golden Boy.
Well, first I want to say the first podcast I ever did with you, I brought that up because I have Rick Glacier. I don't know if I told you guys, this guy, Rick Glacier, got inside on what's going on. Now, 2 months passed, 3 months passed from what he told me it happened. So, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I was shocked. But, I mean, he told me, he's like, you guys, there's things going on inside Golden Boy. Richard Shaefer is not happy with Oscar, the shake-up. This was like 2 months ago. And it finally happened. So, I mean, the guy's probably, I mean, Richard Shaefer is like, he got the Midas touch. He knows what he's doing. They say Oscar was never really in the dealings and the business side of it, So wherever this guy goes, he's gonna put on great fights. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Wherever Richard goes, I kind of feel sorry for Oscar because I mean, if he's not the one that's putting on these great fights, I mean, who's there giving him the good information about? You know what I mean? I know he knows something, but he's not been the one that's been in the office, putting in the grind, working it out with all the fighters like Floyd Mayweather Jr. and all those guys. So. And then Floyd walks away, so it's crazy going on. It sounds like Golden Boy's got some crazy things going on over there right now. I don't know, man. I just hope he, I like Oscar. I hope he go. I think he's gonna be fine, but I would like to know who's in his ear now. I think everybody's gone. Al Heyman, ain't nobody missing Al Heyman. Is he still with Golden Boy? Like what's really going on?
To D's point, kid, it's been well known that even though the company is named after Golden Boy. Golden Boy was basically the face, really, of the promotion that Shaefer and other guys were the guys doing the everyday grunt work. And as Dee mentioned it on a show, which is now on a previous show that we did, that she talked about the issues with Golden Boy and the chaos going on there. We had news about it as well. We held on to it because we didn't want to let the cat out the bag because people might turn at us and say you don't know what you're talking about and blah blah blah. Now that the news is out, we can talk about it freely. Analysis, your thoughts on the shakeup at Golden Boy Promotions, Ken?
I'm gonna tell you right now and I know Rick. Rick was the first to break that story, and I give Rick Glazer a lot of credit because that takes a lot of to come out with that information. But at the same time, I feel like people are selling Oscar De La Hoya a little bit short in this situation. I think he does have good guys around him. He has his brother Joel, and he's got Eric Gomez, and he's got Bernard Hopkins, and they're good business people, and they understand boxing. But at the same time, I agree. You know what? People can say what they want about Oscar, but Oscar's good for the sport. He's always been good for the sport. You know, anything he's been involved in, I'll tell you this, even during his fighters' days, has brought money. And no matter, just because Richard Shaefer walked out the door and said he still wants to be a shareholder in the company, but we know in a little while he's going to sell those shares.
Yeah.
Because he's going to go, him and Al and Floyd, they're going to go do their own little thing, and let them go do their own little thing. But I'll tell you one thing. They want to go around doing their own little thing. There's one thing I have a problem with Al and Richard and Floyd. They just want to do business with themselves.
Yeah, to me, let me break in on this. To me, a large part of this is the fact that, correct me if I'm wrong, but Oscar was willing to do business with Arum. Shaefer,
Absolutely.
Heyman, Floyd was not. And because they were not, they decided to kind of take the ball and go home.
Yeah, and that's fine. They want to take the ball and go home. That's fine. But at the end of the day,
they wanted to keep up this Cold War going on with Arum.
They want to
Well, Oscar was like, he see the larger picture at the end of the day.
Listen, Oscar. Listen, you got to understand that Oscar, his last couple of years, he's been binging on drugs, and he's had some personal problems in his life. And now that he's sober, he sees it for what it is now. I think that Oscar personally wanted to make some changes even before this came up. I think he wanted to make some changes. I think he sensed something, and he wanted. And I'll tell you this: he's got people around him, and at the end of the day, you still got to make your stakeholders happy. You still got to work with them. You know, you work. Listen, when your stakeholders are like guys like StubHub and AEG, you know, you gotta keep them happy. You know, at the end of the day, and I personally think that when it comes down to it, I think Oscar, you know, is doing the right thing personally. I think he's doing the right thing. If these guys want to go and do their own thing, God bless them. They want to do their own thing, and they want to keep themselves separated from everybody else. That's wonderful. But guess what? You can't just do that and scum people over, because by doing that, you're basically giving everybody the cold shoulder in the game. You're basically saying, nah, we don't want to work with you. We're bigger than you. You're just down here. And I think at the end of the day, that Al Heyman, Richard Shaefer, Floyd partnership, that's going to fall apart, because they cannot keep surviving on their bullshit fights in-house. I'm sorry. You cannot survive on that. You want to survive. You think you can survive on it, but at the end of the day, I just don't see it going anywhere. It may work for a while. It may have a nice little run, you know, and they'll probably generate money. And I'm not saying they don't know how to make money. I mean, Al Heyman's been in the music business, and Richard Shaefer's a lawyer from Switzerland, which I don't have to even go into.
Mm-hmm.
And Floyd, you know, is one of the biggest money makers in the sport. I mean, outside of maybe Oscar, you know, and I think they're very, very good at what they're at making money. What is it? Okay, it may work for the short term, but long term, do they have a vision? I mean, do they have a real vision? Do they have like a Bob Arum vision, or like that type of insight in future? You know, are they willing? Do they have a plan for the future? Do they have a plan for, you know, 5 years?
Richard got something up his sleeve, man. He ain't just take off after all these years. You know what I'm saying? I'm not have nowhere to go. I think something's up.
Oh, I think something's up, but I just question what they're doing. Like
right.
Like,
well, I don't know. What about, you know? Think about Oscar's sobriety. Oscar hasn't been all that clean very long. Think about it. What happens if he relapses?
Yeah.
What happened to his company?
Yeah, yeah, I agree that his sobriety, is always in question. But I think if he stays sober and he stays,
That's just the
coherent
key,
and,
man. That's
and
just it.
lucid, I think he can listen. At the end of the day, you know what? This is the one thing I can say about Oscar right now. Just because Floyd ran off and Shaefer ran off, there's one thing that Floyd and Shaefer don't have at the moment, and that's Canelo. End of story, right there. They have Canelo, and I'm not saying he's the be all end all. I'm just saying right now he's a Floyd. Oscar has him right now, and that's a big player right now, and he's still young, and he still produces a lot of money at the box office. He's becoming a pay-per-view type of. He's going to become a huge pay-per-view attraction.
And if he beats Laura in July, yeah, he's gonna get that much bigger.
Yep, yep. He sure is.
Yeah, and
He's
that's
gonna be the backbone of Golden Boy, pretty much.
yeah for the time being until Oscar brings in some new talent. And
Yeah, he's gonna be the backbone.
yeah, listen, it's not going to take Oscar long to retool things. He all those fighters that Al has, they're all going to go off, and whatever and do whatever. But and they're very good fighters. But at the same time,
Yeah, Oscar do got a lot of up and coming fighters though.
yeah, that's the thing
Young
with
fighters.
yeah, I think the one thing Al has right now is a lot of up and coming fighters, but at the same time, how long is it going to last? I mean, because some of the guys are just, some of them are not exactly, Sean makes a good point. Who sells, really? Let's look at all the guys. Floyd is 37. He's on his way out. He's made his money. He's almost done. Who else do they have? I mean, Danny Garcia is not exactly lighting up the box office. I mean, he's a very good fighter. I like him. I think that he's.
Yeah, he lost some brownie points in that last fight.
Oh yeah, he definitely did lose, and he's not coming off like a stellar performance. And that there's questions about him. There's questions about Keith Thurman, even though he won
He
his
just ain't
last.
got a foul. I think Keith Thurman he can change it. He can mess up some things, man. I think he can really get it. You know what I'm saying? He just ain't got a big following, man. This is America.
Yeah. I mean, they have to move him right, but right now everybody they have is questionable at best.
Right. That's
And
true.
that's the one thing. At the end of the day, you could say one thing. Oscar has one guy that's going to be the backbone for the time being, and that's Canelo.
He got Canelo. He got Bernard. He still got a lot of power. I mean, and Floyd said he's not gonna not ever work with the guy. He likes Richard Shaefer. He's always worked with Richard Shaefer. You know what I'm saying? But I do believe Floyd, in some aspects of promoting the fight, he will work with Golden Boy. You know what I'm saying? He's not totally cut him off.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to totally cut them away, but I think this Shaefer Floyd Heyman thing has been brewing for a while, and a lot of it has to do with Oscar's sobriety and the whole thing with working with Aram and but at the end of the day, it's interesting, and I just don't know what Al Heyman, Richard Shaefer, and Floyd what their future plans are going to turn out to be. I mean, for all we know, they may have a bunch of great future plans, but for the time being, it's a questionable, venture at this point.
Right.
Yeah, let's get Sean in here in the discussion. Your thoughts on the shakeup over at Golden Boy Promotions that officially went down this week?
Well, I think it's unfortunate that this awkward, uncomfortable situation that's hurt boxing in the last few years is basically just going to sort of maybe branch off a little more. I'm hoping that Oscar and Top Rank can get together and put some good fights out. Maybe this way it can start to heal some of these problems that we've had to deal with. Heyman, Shaefer, Floyd, we will see what they do. I think what they're trying to do is become like MMA. Promoters to take over the sport and dictate everything. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. There's lots of promoters out there, lots of people with their fingers in the pie, and I think them trying to do this is just going to alienate themselves from a lot of other promoters. And where are they going to go? If they're just going to have their guys fight each other, I mean, eventually everyone's going to lose, and there's not going to be any names, and how is it going to benefit them?
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. That kind of keeping everything to themselves and not wanting to branch and not wanting to work with this fighter is going to hurt this fighter or that fighter, this promotion or that promotion, this network or that network, I should say, is ultimately going to hurt them in the end. Go ahead, Ken.
I was going to say that it's funny how people used to go around and say, Bob Arum doesn't want to work with anybody. It was so funny how people used to say that. And we've learned in the last year or so that he is the most open to work with anyone. I mean, look at who he works with because he can't work. When he was not working with Golden Boy, he was working with Lou DiBella in Star Boxing. And now he's got a relationship with 50 Cent. You see, he does want to work with people. It's not that he's saying, no, I don't want to work with anyone. It's just I think it's personally why Bob didn't want to work with Golden Boy. It was the business environment. There was people he didn't trust in there. He probably didn't trust Shaefer enough to do anything with these people. He just probably didn't feel comfortable. He didn't feel comfortable because, remember, Bob's been in this game for 50 years.
Long time.
He's seen everything in this sport. So, and listen, and the thing with Bob is he's just not going to work with people he can't trust. And I think there was a lot of trust issues, especially with Al Heyman and Richard Shaefer. And I think that's part of the reason why he didn't want to work with Golden Boy. But now that it seems that Oscar wants to work with him again, he feels comfortable with Oscar. You can see that. That you can always see, like, I mean, you know what? It's hard to say, like, if, like Sean just commented, is there really an Al Heyman? There is an Al Heyman.
There is an Al Heyman.
But the problem is the way he works in such a veil of secrecy. And he has his front men who are a bunch of bumbling goofballs. Like, you look at those guys and you just say to yourself, is he really the face of his fucking business? Like, you look at the Watsons, you see anything that, like, really remotely says these people have it all worked out, all together.
No, they're going with the punches. At the end of the day, is who got the meal ticket. At the end of the day in boxing, who has the one that, you know what I'm saying, at the top of the food chain? And whoever got that fighter, they're going to protect their fighter. They're going to make sure they get the most money. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I agree. And I think that at the end of the day, I think that Heyman and all them just want to keep their fighters to make the most money possible.
Exactly. Even if they ain't no good, they're going to try to find a way to make money off of them.
Right. Listen, this is what I've come to the conclusion that Al Heyman, Richard Shaefer, they want to make money, but they don't want to make the best fights. And I think that Bob Arum wants to make the best fights and make the money. And that's what it all comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's move on because what this announcement of the shakeup at Golden Boy is really taken over everything boxing related, including the fact that the Boxing Hall of Fame is this weekend in Canastota, New York, IBHOF, International Boxing Hall of Fame. Had really, really good class of 2014, best class in a while, in some years, I will say. Headlined by Joe Calzaghe, De La Hoya, who we've been talking about, Felix Trinidad, promoter Barry Hearn, referee Richard Steele. I want to go to you on this one, Sean. Talk about this, what I consider this outstanding 2014 class in the International Boxing Hall of Fame.
After we were talking today, I was really impressed. It's a good group of fighters. It's good to see people getting their due for having great careers. And you know, unfortunately, with a lot of these things, especially with boxing, it goes unknown to the average fan who doesn't really know. It's not pushed as much. not like other sports like baseball or the NBA. So it's sort of a shame because, I mean, you know, the fighters getting their due this time, they're all great fighters and they've been great for boxing. So my hat's off.
Yeah, the events really started tonight, actually early today in Kennesaw, New York, and go through this weekend. I'll go to you on this one, D. Talk about the really headline fighters within this class. Calzaghe, De La Hoya, Trinidad. Everybody knows Trinidad and De La Hoya fought each other in '99. Huge bout at the time. Calzaghe, undefeated super middleweight, who really didn't get his kudos until the end with wins over Kessler, Hopkins, Roy Jones. Talk about those fighters specifically. Talk about those fighters specifically in this 2014 Hall of Fame class.
Yeah, man, he's up there, man. You said talk about who specifically?
Calzaghe, Trinidad, and De La Hoya.
Yeah, they definitely should get their awards or whatever the hell they do. I've never been at the IBF, so I really don't know what they do there. But I know I've watched these guys fight over the years, man. They are true warriors. They should get all the accolades they deserve, man. If they get in the Hall of Fame, did they get into the Hall of Fame? I really don't know anything.
Yeah, they got inducted into the Hall of Fame a few months back. It was announced, and the events are happening this weekend.
That's what's up. I watched them all. I like them all. I like Joe Calzaghe. Oh my God, when he beat the crap out of Jeff Lacey, man. Oh, that's when Jeff Lacey was the man. Y'all remember that, man? Jeff was the man. And then he fought Trinidad, and then he fought Bernard Hopkins. I was like, this white motherfucker is bad. That's exactly what I was saying. I ain't gonna lie. I said I love me some Joe Calzaghe, man. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss, but I think of Joe, like, he would get in the zone, man. He was like he was playing with them, man. He was smirking and sticking his tongue out and doing his little dude, hands down, like he didn't care, man. You hit me, I just hit you back harder. You know, you couldn't knock that guy out. He was bad, man. I wish he never retired, to tell you the truth.
Talk about those fighters, kid, as well as Richard Steele and Barry Hearn. Steele, of course, you know, known and infamous. He's known for his quick short stoppage in Chavez Taylor, and Barry Hearn, from a promotional side, particularly over in England, really a powerhouse. People don't know much about him, but if you look at the career of Chris Eubank, he was the guy who guided the career of Chris Eubank. Worked with Nigel Benn and other fighters too. Talk about the fighters we mentioned, as well as the career of Richard Steele, who was unfortunately defined by the Chavez Taylor bout, as well as the promoter Barry Hearn.
See, the thing with Calzaghe is, I think a lot of stuff that hurts Joe is the fact who he fought, like in the UK, who he fought, and I think that he never really, like, I think a lot of that had to do with, Frank Warren and whatnot, but also I think he kind of got comfortable, fighting that level of opposition to an extent.
Let me push back and say I don't put all that on him, because before the Kessler, before the Hopkins, before the Roy Jones, there was one fight out there for him with Vetyeka, and I don't care what anybody says. I say this, Vetyeka, he didn't want that fight.
Okay, because Vetyeka knew that he couldn't take a punch, and he was making money. That's why he didn't take the fight. He would make more money fighting the guys he fought. And remember, he didn't fight a murderer's row either. If you look at who he fought, that era had
and the reason I mentioned Vetyeka, Aki was undefeated too, just like Calzaghe was, but he doesn't get the respect that Calzaghe did, and he's not in the Hall of Fame, but Calzaghe is. Because of eventually who he fought and who it was.
Yeah, but later in his career, I think I will say that that Joe did fight some guys, but the early part of his career, I mean, that's where a lot of the flack he gets comes from, because he fought a lot of guys that simply had no business being in there. I mean, yeah, they were all mandatory WBO ranked guys, but at the same time, he wasn't. The box. A lot of fans want you to fight the absolute best, and I think it was later in his career. I think the fights that I think really got him in was the fight with Bika, the fight with Kessler, the fight with Lacey, the Hopkins, and the Jones fight. I think those fights got him in, truly got him in, and I think if it wasn't for the Jones and the Hopkins fight, I don't think he would have gotten in this soon. I just don't even think he would have gotten in that soon. But it is what it is. Trinidad was maybe one of the greatest welterweights ever.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
One of the most exciting welterweights ever.
Yes.
If you listen, you never knew what was going to happen in a Trinidad fight, because shit, he's like he was so exciting to watch because most times he would get knocked down in his fights. He would just get dropped by guys that he had no business being dropped by, but he would get back up and he would end up knocking that guy out. And I think that's what made Felix Trinidad, because he would face adversity, get up, and he had made about, I believe, 14 defenses, 15 defenses of the
17.
17.
Man, Trinidad was the bomb. When I first got into boxing, man, the first fighter I saw was Trinidad and Oscar De La Hoya. You know what I'm saying? This brother, it was his stance. It's so much as his rhythm. If they catch him within his rhythm with his feet moving back and forth, it was easy to get him off balance. But he didn't have the best balance in the world. I don't believe, you know what I'm saying? He never was really hurt when he got knocked out.
No. I think a lot of the stuff when he got caught were basically balance shots. They weren't solid. They weren't like big shots that hurt him, but in the eyes of the fans, you know, they would be like, that don't know that, they would be like, man, he can't take a punch, but he sure can get up and knock the other guy out. And I think that's what Trinidad's appeal was. You know, Oscar, I could go and talk to, you know, and go on and break down, really pick over Oscar's career, but you can say one thing about Oscar. He was greatest pay-per-view fighter ever. Greatest pay-per-view fighter ever. No one made more money.
I've ever seen.
I'd put Trinidad above his, but still. And Oscar, too. He didn't duck anyone.
No, he didn't duck anyone. I don't think he was the type of fighter that... I don't think he was an all-time great or even a great of an era. One of the greatest of an era. But I do think he was a very good fighter, one of the greatest pay-per-view attractions ever, and he fought everybody. He didn't duck anybody. He didn't find a way out of a fight. He fought everybody. He fought Hopkins. He fought Trinidad. He fought Floyd. He fought Corte. He fought everybody. And you could say whatever you want about the man. He may have won fights he shouldn't have won. You know, Whitaker, Corte. But at the same time, Sturm, but at the end of the day, he didn't duck anybody. He didn't run from anybody. He fought the best, and you got to give him that. Barry Hearn was getting, his notoriety came from Chris Eubank and his career, and he was a great promoter. His son, you know, his son the book still has to be written about, you know, his son, but you know, Barry was a tremendous promoter in the UK. Doesn't get the respect he deserves.
And can we talk about, I mean to interrupt, but we talk about it today about here in the United States how folks in one boxing unionized and we want a special commission and all this stuff. What made Barry Hearn so interesting to me is that the way he protected and the way he took care of his fighters, not in terms of just money and whatnot, but he gave his fighters, from what I've read, pension plans, insurance, of things of that nature. You don't see that from promoters today. You didn't see that from promoters then. So in terms of the way he took care of fighters, you know, very unique in the way he handled business. He cared.
Oh, I think he did care. I mean, I'm not a big fan of his son simply because he's you know, he's like, I think he's the opposite of his dad in a way. I'm not going to hate on his son because he's done a lot for the sport in the UK. I mean,
Who
the
you talking
UK.
about?
I'm talking about Eddie Hearn.
Eddie
I
Hearn
ain't never heard
of
of him.
Matchroom Sport, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
I ain't never heard of him.
But I think the UK, even though boxing has become, it's kind of the popularity is come back a little bit there more so recently. There's a lot of problems there, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think Barry did a lot of good things for boxing, more so than his son, and I think that he, yeah, you're right, he did care.
Yeah, and before we move on to do the preview what's happening this weekend, I know for those who are watching this on YouTube, I got on there a discussion about Sam Soliman's win over Felix Sturm. We bypassed it. I'm sorry, but to quickly give a quick account of that bout, 40-year-old Sam Soliman of Australia fought Sturm in a rematch. They had a first fight They fought last year. Sturm won by decision, but the fight was overruled because of a positive drug test for a stimulant by Soliman. They fought again this past Saturday in Germany. I look at the fight; it was a case of styles making fights. The style of Soliman, one of the most awkward fighters in the sport, was basically the key to this fight with Sturm. His style, his activity was the basically deciding factor, as he won a unanimous, clear-cut decision over Sturm. Even Sturm admitted he lost, and that's just the way the fight went. It may be a rematch. Even if it does happen, I just don't see how Sturm can turn things around. So again, even though we didn't talk about it earlier, basically that's how things went in terms of that fight. Now, let's move on and start to close the show down this evening and do a preview of what's happening in boxing this upcoming weekend. The big bout, the only real bout that really matters, the return of Sergio Martinez off of a 16-month layoff, I believe, as he's going to return to the ring this Saturday, MSG, as he's going to defend his middleweight belt, fighting Miguel Cotto, who's moving up from 154. A lot of talk about this fight. The previews, the little face-off that they had with Max Keller on HBO was very good. Martinez basically called Cotto a diva, said he was going to dominate him, he's going to knock Miguel Cotto out and all this and that. Your thoughts on this? I'll go to you on this one, Sean. Your thoughts on the return of Sergio Martinez, and the key for me, has Sergio Martinez recovered from the injuries that he suffered in his fight with Chavez and his fight after that with not Macklin. Who was he fought? Who was his last fight? Sergio Martinez. Martin Murray, in which he had knee injuries, elbow injuries, and whatnot. Do you think that the time off that he has had enough time to recover, or do you think that the issue with the injuries plus the age and the wear and tear of a long career, it will be something too much for Sergio Martinez, too much for Martinez to recover from?
Well, I like Cotto and I like Sergio. They're both two of my favorite fighters, but they're both ending their careers. And since Cotto's moved up to 154, I think he hasn't been the same fighter he was at 147 and 140. He's hasn't been as dominant. Whereas Sergio, I mean, he is the king at 160 until he gets beat. Nothing against GGG, he's my favorite fighter, but I think Sergio's age and injuries shouldn't be such a big issue against the smaller Cotto. Cotto is going to be the smaller man. He's going to be the slower man. I don't think his power is going to be as strong as Sergio's at the higher weight either. So I think basically Sergio has everything going in his corner. He doesn't need to necessarily be as slick as he was before because he's not fighting a man that's going to be bigger than him, that he's going to have to avoid and use like his feet and speed to sort of get away from. I think he can fight on the inside a lot more with a guy like Cotto than he could with other guys like Pavlik and Chavez Jr. I think he's still going to be faster. He's going to be hard to hit, and his power is going to be too much, and eventually he's just going to stop Cotto late. I mean, Cotto is a good fighter. He showed against Floyd that he still has something left, but I don't think he has that much left, not to beat a top-level guy. I mean, who's the last top-level guy that Cotto has beat?
Good point. Good point.
Margarito coming off of retirement from Pacquiao. I mean,
Yeah, I'll go to you on this one, D. Cotto kind of got his name back in the picture with his destruction of Delvin Rodriguez. I don't count that fight as being much of anything because we all know Delvin Rodriguez's flaws, particularly with his chin. To me, Sergio Martinez is the favorite. If he's healthy, if he hasn't aged too much, he should win by decision, and pretty easy decision as far as I'm concerned. But Cotto, he could present some problems if Martinez isn't all the way there, and if Cotto can get inside of Martinez and get to his body. Your thoughts on this bout this coming weekend?
I truly believe I'm going for Cotto. Everybody that watch my show knows I'm going for Cotto. I like Sergio, but I believe Sergio is a worn, body battered fighter. Man, he's injury prone. I believe it's his time. I believe he's about to lose his belt, man. He's fighting in Cotto's backyard. He's fighting on Cotto's turf. If it goes the distance, it's going to Cotto. Only way he's winning is by knockout. I don't see him winning a decision against Cotto. Because Cotto is a very good fighter. The man can do everything. He can brawl. He can box. He slips. He does everything. That's what I'm saying. You know, Sergio, how many times has he fought a fighter like that, though? He fought Martin Moore, a big old guy, and he dropped him. You know, when's the last time Sergio knocked somebody out? He's a KO artist. When's the last time he knocked somebody out? So, I mean, I think the guy's on the downside of his career. His body is battered as hell. I mean, did you watch 24/7? The guy's knee was huge, man. The knee that he had surgery on, it looked swollen. And they only like a few days away from the fight? I'm like, come on. That's going to come into play. I believe he's going to re-injure his damn knees again. His shoulder, whatever, trying to get at Cotto. And Cotto is a different fighter. He's a different fighter. I remember Cotto when he first came out. He was blowing guys away. And then I think he got into some bad fights, and then he switched up and just started boxing.
I think Cotto has aged too, though. Cotto has aged too now.
Yeah. But now he's back. He's with Roach. He looks like his mind is right. You know, he's back into the fight, man. He's bringing the fight to be. Yeah, Devin ain't nobody, but it just shows me that Cotto, he's ready to go in there and bang and fight. He ain't scared to let his hands go no more. He used to just box and lay off. Now he's coming at these guys again. And I believe he's going to do that. He's going to box. He's going to show different looks to Sergio. Sergio's going to have to knock him out, man. That's the only way he's winning in New York. I'm telling you, that's the only way he's winning. He's going to have to knock Cotto out. If you don't knock him out, he's not winning.
I don't know your prediction, but I know you talked about this fight in the past, kid, and I think you agree with D in the sense that you think Cotto will give Sergio Martinez a much tougher fight than people think. And it should be noted, even though Martinez is a middleweight, he's essentially a junior middleweight, 154-pound guy fighting at 160 pounds. Your thoughts, Ken?
You know, I've been going back and forth on this fight for months now, and I've come to my prediction on this fight, and it may not make a lot of people happy, but I think Cotto's going to knock Martinez out. And I'll tell you why.
You hear that, D? You hear that?
I don't know about the knockout. I don't know, but
I'm going to tell you why. And it's not because I think Cotto is the fresher guy.
But he is, though. Out the two.
He's not. He's been in a lot of tough fights. But this is my thing. I don't know physically what Sergio Martinez has left. I really don't. I've watched his fights recently, you know, especially some of his recent fights, Sergio, and I just don't know what he has physically left.
That power, man, the power is never going to leave him. He is betting that he's trying to knock him out. He wants to knock him out in the first, at least, 4 or 5 rounds. He wants to knock Cotto out.
This is what I think is going to happen. This is what I think is going to happen. I think Sergio, I don't think Cotto's going in there to win a decision. He knows he ain't going to win a decision. He going in there to knock Sergio out. And I think that Sergio will outbox him. I think he will outbox him. That's not any question he's going to outbox him. But I think at some point in the fight, I think Sergio is going to start stiffening up. And at some point, they're gonna have to exchange. There's gonna be a point where they're gonna exchange, and somebody's and I think if they start exchanging, I think the left hook is gonna be a big punch for Cotto.
Oh yeah.
So you're thinking that when it comes down to it, that Cotto is the sturdier guy who can take the better punch than Martinez?
I think I'm not gonna say he's sturdier, but I think.
He's a healthier guy, I'll tell you that.
I think physically, yeah, he's healthier, but he's a worn guy. I think both guys are worn. I just think Cotto
has a little bit
of an edge on power, especially with the left hook. I think he has an edge with the power there. I'm not saying that Cotto isn't old. He is old. But so is Sergio. I don't think this is a easy fight for either guy.
Kid, I'm telling you, Cotto's coming in to attack the body. He's attacking the body.
He's gonna have to get to the body.
Slow him down.
I'm gonna tell you right now, D. Cotto ain't gonna outbox. He's gonna get outboxed. But I think that Sergio's going to have the lead. He's going to be winning comfortably, and I think he gets caught. I just don't see. I just think Sergio's been living on borrowed time for the last several fights. I think he gets. Look how many times he's been knocked down recently.
Okay, that's what I keep telling everybody. Like, he don't even look like the same fighter, man. That's not the same guy that fought Paul Williams.
He's not. Listen, Sergio Martinez. If you look at his fights throughout his career, the one thing he's been dependent on is his legs, and I think his legs are almost gone. I don't care what anybody says. Those legs cannot do it for 12. I could be wrong. I could be flat out wrong.
You're right, bro. You're right.
I could be flat out wrong. I was
gonna say, let's get Sean in here, because for those who don't know, who we do this on G+, we have a little inside group chat here. He's like, no, he disagrees. He disagrees with both of you. Just chime in, Sean.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Cotto, and if he did knock Sergio out, I wouldn't be sad. I mean, it would be excellent. The only problem is then Floyd would try to get a 160 title. But, you know, I think at this point, I mean, Sergio could lay on the ropes after 3 rounds, and he could just hold and counter and punch and get the victory off of Cotto. I mean, Cotto is not going to have that much power on the bigger guy. He's going to lose some power. I mean,
but is Sergio really the bigger guy here? Really?
He's the bigger guy. Sergio's bigger guy.
He's got the longer reach.
He turns about in the height, reach, and whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant like
I'm not worried about the height, because he's going to short. Like, he's going to fight like a short guy anyway. You know what I'm saying? He loses a little height with his style. If you watch him,
I agree with D. He has the height and the reach, and he fights like a smaller guy. And that's what I'm thinking is going to happen at some point, that he's going to get stupid, try to fight small, and he's going to get caught by something.
He's going to get caught by that left hook.
Yeah.
He doesn't. John,
that's the only thing. The only chance.
Boxing.
The only chance Cotto has is the left hook, because I mean Sergio can't see that coming. I mean, it's not like Sergio doesn't know he's going to throw a left. I mean, come on. What else does Cotto have?
Listen,
what else does he have besides the left hook?
Listen, I know that, but the point is, people are valuing, like, what people keep thinking Sergio can do, what he's done in the past. He's physically unable to do that for 12. If he does it for 12 and he outboxes Cotto and dominates him and wins a decision, I'll give him all the credit in the world. I'll just say, well, he had more than I thought he had. But I'm just basing it on what happened in these last couple of fights. I'm not saying Cotto has a lot. I'm not saying Cotto has a lot left, but I think he has the ability to catch Sergio with a hook, especially later in the fight. Sergio looked good against Chavez. He got caught. He almost got knocked out. You
And
see
don't and that doesn't really count because Chavez really doesn't have much defense at all. He just stands there and wants to trade. So,
yeah, but the
he's just a
point
big guy who tries to go in there and bludgeon guys.
the
So,
point is Chavez
he was made for
12th
Martinez.
round, even if in the 12th round of a fight, in a fight he was woefully behind. He was nowhere close to winning the fight. He was getting torn up. He still managed to catch Sergio. That's what I'm saying. And I think eventually Sergio's going to get caught by somebody. And
He keeps his hands down, man.
He's not going to be able to get his way out of it. I think it's going to be Saturday night. It's just a gut feeling. It's just something I'm seeing.
I agree, Ken. I agree. I truly believe his legs, knees, or whatever gonna give out on his ass.
That they're gonna give out. They're gonna get so stiff to the point where he's gonna have to exchange. He's gonna have to fight his way, and I don't know if he can fight his way. I just don't know if he can fight his way to the end. I think he can outbox Cotto for maybe 5 or 6 rounds easily. Absolutely. I'm not denying that. The only thing that I think that would stop Cotto at this point from making it to the end of the fight against Sergio is if he gets cut. That's the only thing that could stop him is a cut. That's the only thing that could stop him. I could be wrong. But I bet you this: if Sergio does stop Cotto, it'll be because of a cut. It won't be because he floored him and he couldn't get up. It's going to be because of the cut. Because we all know that Cotto is a cutter. He's always been a guy that cuts. And I think that's the way Sergio stops him is a cut. And I could see Sergio doing that because he has very fast hands. He has very fast hands, and his shots are snappy. And he could catch Cotto and slice his skin. That's the only way I think that he stops Cotto. It's just a gut. I just think that this is just a fight. Listen, it's a great fight, but these are 2 old men going in there. And it's good. I think it's going to be a very interesting fight. I don't think it's going to be a one-sided fight. The result may end up on paper as one-sided, but I think it's going to be a very fun fight. Somebody's going to have to. I think at some point the Canes may get involved. You know what I'm saying? The Canes may get involved because these 2 guys. You could say one thing. We may not agree completely on the result of the fight, but when 2 old men get in the ring and fight, it usually gets very, very interesting very, very quickly.
Hey, man, they ain't that old.
No, they're not old like that, but their bodies are old. Their bodies are old.
Well, that's the case. Cotto is the fresher, younger body.
I don't think he has the fresher, younger body, but I do think he has enough to catch Sergio with a hook. I'm just gonna say that right now. I think he's just as old as Sergio.
I don't see him knocking Sergio out. I see him winning a distance. I see him winning by distance.
If he wins a decision, I'd be very surprised. I just don't think he has the speed. I think if Sergio's able to keep moving for 12, I think he has enough speed to. But I just don't see his legs doing it for 12.
Yeah, well, I see Cotto win at the end of the day. Who you see winning, Sean? Sergio?
Yeah, he thinks Sergio's gonna win.
You over there smiling.
Sergio in 9.
Sergio in 9?
Okay, I want to ask you, how does the stoppage happen then, Sean?
The ref stops it.
The ref stops it. Do you think it'll be a cut? Or do you think it's just gonna be punishment?
Well, I think it's going to be cut and stuff based on punishment. I mean, after 5 rounds, after 5 rounds, Cotto has nothing. After 5 rounds, Cotto has nothing. And at that point, I mean, he's just going to get his ass beat.
If that happens, and it could, I'm not saying it will. I think it could. That could happen. He could beat the shit out of. But I think that's a real possible outcome. Is if Sergio beats the shit out of him and somehow Cotto manages to catch him. That's what I'm thinking.
If Sergio wins, he's going to pot shot him all night until he sees that he's hurt.
That's what he's going to have to do.
And then he's going to try to take him out.
Early.
And I think we're going to close the show down on that note. I love it. I love it. I love it. The back and forth, the game of competitive banter, the back and forth dialogue. We may not agree. We can agree to disagree, but the bottom line is that we can talk about it and do it in a respectful way without anybody resorting to getting out of pocket and saying something stupid.
If people think this is boring, they're watching the wrong show because
this is what it's about, and this is why I created this show, and that's why I created this podcast and stuff, because of conversations like this, real boxing heads, real boxing nerds, sit here talking about the sweet science in the way that we do.
We love it, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then for me, I think I'll chime in. I think Martinez will win. I think he will have just enough. There are moments where he may get hurt, but I think that he will pot shot his way to a decision win. I think a cut may be a factor, but I just wonder whether Cotto can get to him enough. If he does, he's knocking Martinez out. But I just think that Martinez will have just enough to win and win by decision. And on that note, I think we're going to shut the show down. Before we close the show down, however, I'm going to go to you, D. I should have asked you this earlier. I know you have your own things. Let the people know where they can find you. Let the people know where to go to talk about all things Doodoo Brown. Give them your information, baby.
All right. You can check me out on doodoobrownshow.blogspot.com. I love to chop it up on Barbie Boxing Forum on Facebook. Check me out on YouTube, Doodoo Brown. Every day is Doodoo Brown. Just check me out, man. My show is Wednesday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. I talk about entertainment. I talk about sport, man. I talk about everything. But I love it all, you know. Come follow me, man. Check out my blog, man. Like it, join it, do something, shit. Ain't nobody doing nothing on my blog.
Hey, kid, if folks want to chop it up about boxing, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/kent.airs.1. Hit me up there. You want to talk about the Cotto Martinez fight? If you agree, if you disagree. I know a lot of people can be disagreeing with me, but that's okay because I know that everybody's got an interesting opinion on this fight. I've heard it all, you know, with this fight, and I love the fact that everybody's talking about this fight, and it's going to be a great fight. You know, I love when two guys who are veterans, who are about at the end of the day, this may be probably both of their last fight, probably. And I love talking about these, you know, these fights. So I'm looking forward to it. But hit me up there. If you have if you want to talk about that fight or any fight, you know, this weekend or this past weekend, you know, you can talk to me. I definitely will, you know, talk to you about it in a respectful manner, like we just did.
And on a side note, D, before I go to Sean, what you can do is hit me up with all your information, all your links privately, and when I'll make the podcast, I'll make sure to have it up there.
All right, baby. Appreciate you.
You know, no problem. And Sean, if they want to talk boxing with you, what can they chop it up with you? Where can they find you?
They can hit me on Google+, Sean Newton, or YouTube at Sean Newton as well.
Absolutely. For the information on the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, I'll repeat what I said earlier in the show. Y'all know what it is. Go to two main places you can go. You can go to the blog page, p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com. You can go to the podcast page, p4pboxingreport.podomatic.com. The blog page has past episodes of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report podcast, as well as articles written by yours truly. The podcast page has all previous episodes of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. On the next episode of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, we will do a recap of Cotto, of Sergio Martinez and Miguel Cotto. And we will also do a preview of Ruslan Provodnikov, who's returning to the ring following his title win over Mike Alvarado. He's going to make his first defense of the WBO junior welterweight title against Chris Algieri. On that same card, Demetrius Andrade. Andrade, yes, he's going to be fighting mandatory challenger Brian Rose, defending his WBO junior middleweight title. We'll talk about that and any other kind of boxing news that will be coming up in the interim. I want to thank special guest D, the one and only Doodoo Brown. Thank you, Sean, for being on again with us this week as a special guest. Thank my co-host Kent. For D, for Sean, for my co-host Kent. I am Michael. This has been another episode of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. You guys have a good evening. Good night.